Welcome, I'm Rabbi Phil Bressler of Beit Am in Corvallis, Oregon, and this is the daily summary video for the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Yomi Daily Halakha Learning Project, covering the passage from Siman 87, Seif 7, to Siman 87, Seif 17. You can find links to the Hebrew and English text of this passage and to the calendar of upcoming passages in this video's description. Still talking about animals and birds today, what they can and can't go out with on Shabbat, because remember, Shabbat is not just about us resting, but also our animals as well. Tying an animal's legs together is okay in order to prevent them from running away, as long as it's not too excessive or painful for the animal. A non-Jewish servant you might have who rides on your animal while leading it to water, you might think that would be like burdening the animal, but the reason riding is prohibited on Shabbat is because of what might lead you, the rider, to do, not necessarily because it's a burden for the animal. Animals carrying people are sort of classed different from animals carrying stuff. So the rabbinic prohibition on riding, because riding's, again, not a malacha itself, it's about you might break a branch as you ride by or go beyond the Shabbat limit, all sorts of things. The rabbinic prohibition is on you. And since your non-Jewish servant is not obligated to rabbinic prohibitions, and neither is your animal, you don't have to worry about your non-Jewish servant riding your animal on Shabbat. Cows may need to be milked on Shabbat. I guess they get uncomfortable if this isn't done sometimes. It's okay to have a non-Jew do that for you. You can't handle the milk, though. I believe that's the principle of nolad, something that's created on Shabbat. It comes into existence on Shabbat, coming into play again. Notwithstanding all these allowances, you still can't rent out your animal to a non-Jew over Shabbat. The non-Jew who milks your cow for you, maybe rides it, that's someone who's in your employ already, a servant in your house, presumably, or a friend. So you can't rent out your animal over Shabbat to them. If you do rent out your animal during the week and they were supposed to return it to you by Shabbat and they fail to do so, you can make it hefker. That's basically declare it ownerless. So it's no longer your animal, and therefore your animal is no longer working over Shabbat. A few final things. Don't measure out animal feed. We already talked about avoiding precise measuring on Shabbat. There's some other stuff about feeding animals. Watch out for various melacha in doing that. Again, having your animal graze on growing grass is okay. It doesn't count as work for them. They're not obligated themselves to avoid the melachot. Seif 14 highlights a distinction I found challenging in learning, as I've noted, the fifth parak of Tractate Shabbat. Doing something for an animal's comfort is not okay. For example, putting a feed bag on them just to make it, easier to eat, but doing something to avoid discomfort is okay. So like a feed bag on a calf or a colt with a short neck for whom it's uncomfortable to get all the way down to the ground to eat, that's okay. So doing something to make an animal comfortable, not okay. Something to avoid their discomfort is okay. That kind of makes sense on paper, but it seems difficult to distinguish in reality. And here's a few final notes. Don't throw grain to birds in a damp place. That could be like throwing grain and sowing it. That's malacha number 2. Don't use a sieve on your animal feed. That's number 9, sifting. And don't add water directly to animal feed. That's, again, number 2, sowing. And if you did add water before Shabbat, so you have wet food, don't knead it into a paste. That's number 10, amalgamation. That's all for today. As always, our learning is dedicated to Rabbi Shlomo Gansfried, the author of the Kitzur, and the historic Jewish community of Uzhrad, Ukraine. See you tomorrow.